Hello, lovelies. So I don't know if you can tell from my outfit, but we're going to DisneyWorld. This is a huge deal for me because even though I've been a huge Disney fan ever since I was a little kid, I've never actually been to Disney World. I've only been to Disneyland in California. So Eric's taking me to Disney World in Florida for my birthday this year. I've never actually even been to Florida, so this was super exciting for me. We got into town kind of late and very hungry, so we found this Korean barbecue place next to our hotel, which was another thing I've never tried before, and it was amazing. I highly recommend. We weren't expecting to have to cook our own food on the table like that, but it was so much fun and the food was delicious. And then we woke up the next morning on my actual birthday, and it was time to go to the most magical place on earth. Now, they don't call it Disney World for nothing. It really is like a whole other world. I don't know why I didn't know how huge this place was. They said the entirety of the Disney World property was the size of the city of Paris, France. The property is massive. It feels like its own city. I mean, you actually have to cross a lake to even get to the main Magic Kingdom park. You can get there from the parking lot by monorail or ferry boat, so I picked ferry boat because it just looked like fun. It was a nice, peaceful ride, but I was just dying with excitement by this point. What's nice is that it wasn't too crowded this day either, probably because we went in pretty early and it was a weekday. Walking in, I really did feel like a kid again. It really does feel so magical here. There was an adorable train that takes you all around the park, which is a really nice way to get from one end of the park to the other if you get tired of walking. So we hopped on and we got off the train in Frontierland, where we got to see Tiana's Bayou. Then we walked to Adventureland, where I was a little disappointed that this was the only Aladdin-themed ride I could find, but it was still really cool. And then the first ride of the day that we rode was the Pirates of the Caribbean ride. Now, I was a huge Pirates of the Caribbean fan when the movies came out, so I really wanted this to be our first ride of the day on my birthday. This was also one of the only rides I remember riding when I was a kid and I went to Disneyland with my parents. But it was a lot like how I remembered it, and I was explaining to Erik that the movies were actually based off of this ride. And now they even added Captain Jack Sparrow. We came out of the ride and we got to see a cool little parade passing by. This, of course, wasn't the main parade they have on Main Street, but it was still really cute and we got to see a lot of cool characters. Then we walked to Fantasyland and I got to see Rapunzel's Tower and the Kingdom of Corona from the movie Tangled. Rapunzel is actually one of my favorite Disney princesses, so I was very excited for this one. We walked through Fantasyland some more after that, and I got to see a lot of Disney princess castles. First, we saw the Beast's castle from Beauty and the Beast. Then we saw Prince Eric's castle from The Little Mermaid. And then, of course, you can't forget the main one in this park, Cinderella's castle. After our castle tour, we were hungry, so we stopped in Liberty Square and had some delicious lobster rolls and truffle fries. This was at a cute little restaurant there called Harbor House, where we got to eat our lunch and look out at the view and people watch. And then, of course, afterwards, I had to have one of Disney's iconic desserts, so here's us trying Tiana's famous beignets, which were so yummy. After lunch, we took the train to Tomorrowland and explored some of that, which was super cool. And then we walked to Main Street, got some matchas at Starbucks, and then visited this cool little jewelry store where they had the most amazing diamond sculptures, like this beautiful one of Cinderella's castle. Speaking of Cinderella's castle, we got there just in time to see some shows they were putting on with some cool characters. After the shows were over, we went to explore the castle some more because I had realized that I hadn't taken any pictures of us while we were there yet. So that's what we did. We walked around the castle, found some nice photo spots, and got in some cute photos and videos. We even got to walk through the castle and go inside. There was even a restaurant inside. This was really cool to me because I had only ever been to Disneyland, and you can't walk through the castle in Disneyland. We didn't eat at the restaurant inside, but it was still really cool to be in the castle. I also told them at the front gate that it was my first time there, so they gave me this adorable first visit pin. I of course wore it all day. By the afternoon, Erik needed a nap and I needed to rest my feet, so we took a break, went back to our hotel, and then came back and visited Disney's Hollywood Studios. And it was here that I was told that if it's my birthday, I can get another pin. So of course, that's what I did. And you know I wore this pin the entire weekend the rest of the time we were there, which was really fun because every employee that passed by me after that wished me happy birthday, and even some of the guests. But anyway, Disney Hollywood Studios was actually really cool. We got to walk through Toy Story Land, and then made our way over to Star Wars Land, which was so much fun. I'm actually a big Star Wars geek too, so we had a lot of fun in this area. We even got to interact with some stormtroopers and Kylo Ren.
Wookiee. That Wookiee is a threat. You are toy soldiers.
We apologize, sir. Happy? We're not.
Stay back.
Kylo Ren actually got up in Erik's face and was talking to him, and I really wish I had gotten that on video, but I was kind of stunned, honestly. But we got to see a lot of other cool, iconic things from the Star Wars universe while we were there, like the Millennium Falcon, and an AT-AT walker, and lots of different droids. And then we saw Rey from the new trilogy walking around talking to people. We even saw Chewbacca walking around and greeting kids. Then for our second ride of the day, we found the Star Tours ride. We didn't even plan to ride this one, we just kind of stumbled upon it by accident, but it was such a fun ride. We got to see C-3PO and R2-D2 while we were in line waiting to get in. And then they handed us our 3D glasses, which looked super cool. This was a virtual simulation ride, so we needed the 3D glasses for the full experience. Except they said no cameras while inside the ride, so I didn't get any footage of the actual ride, but it was definitely one of my favorites that we rode. Then after we got out, we were hungry, so we ended up finding some really good brisket Frito pie things for dinner, and then went back to the Magic Kingdom where I had probably my favorite dessert of the entire trip, Disney's famous pineapple Dole Whip, which I highly recommend getting with the pineapple upside down cake underneath. Then we rode Jungle Cruise, which for some reason I got no footage of, but it was so much fun. We got out of that ride just in time for all the evening lights to turn on, and then it was time to just wait for the fireworks show. Honestly, Main Street was so beautiful during this time, but since it was so crowded, we didn't watch the fireworks from the front of the castle where everyone else was. Instead, we found a bench sort of off to the side of the castle. It was way less crowded over there, so even though we didn't get the optimal view for the fireworks show, it was still much more pleasant to watch it over here, where we weren't shoulder to shoulder with everyone else. Anyway, I'll stop talking now and let you watch some of the show. The next morning, we woke up and went straight to the place I've been dying to see since I was a little kid and first heard about it, Disney's Animal Kingdom. I've always been a huge animal lover, so this was another childhood dream come true for me. And the first thing we did was witness an adorable wedding proposal. I obviously didn't get the whole thing on video, but it was so cute, and I'm so happy that we got there just in time to see that. Anyway, after that excitement, we spent quite a bit of time just marveling at this amazing tree of life. This is the main landmark of the animal kingdom, and it was massive and quite a sight to see. There were tons of animals carved into the entire tree. There was a lot to look at, really. And it seemed like the longer you looked at it, the more animals you saw. It was really incredible. Obviously, this wasn't a real tree, but it was modeled after a real tree. They just don't grow naturally in this region of the world. Then it was time to start seeing some animals. There were actually quite a few living near the Tree of Life, like these cute ring-tailed lemurs. And we even got a chance to see a super rare bird named Kevin. Obviously from the movie Up, which is one of my favorite Disney movies. Then we got to explore Dinosaur Land, which was super cool. We even got to see Donald Duck walking through Dino Land. We didn't actually meet any characters while we were on this trip, but it was still cool to see them walking around the parks. This was the dinosaur ride based off the movie Dinosaur. The line was too long, so we didn't go on it, but it looked fun, and I loved that movie as a kid. After Dino Land, we were getting hungry, so we walked around this beautiful lake and found some delicious food. I got some sesame orange chicken, and of course Erik got a burger and fries. And then I was even given a free drink because it was my birthday. This was some kind of lemonade. After lunch, we decided to walk off our food and explore the park some more. And we ended up on the other side of the Tree of Life, which had even more animals carved into this side of it. Everything about this place was just so gorgeous. How many animals do you see on this side of the tree? Then it was time for more animal sightings. We found this gorgeous pond of fish, found a cool educational building where they had some really interesting animal skulls, and then stumbled onto a really cool exhibit where they had hippos. And then after that, it was time to go on our favorite ride of the day, the African safari. We were both so excited for this ride. So I'll stop talking for a bit and let you enjoy some snippets from our safari.
Those are just their branches, but my favorite nickname of theirs is the Tree of Life, because they can hold thousands of gallons of water on the inside of their trunks, which can give drinking water to lots of animals all across the savannah.
Wow.
As we're making our way on down the hill, you may start to get a couple previews of some animals out here. Maybe some you recognize. A group of zebra can be called a dazzle because when they are protecting themselves from predators, they will run in circles around each other. All right. Now, probably the most important part of a giraffe's body is going to be their tongue. There's that kind of big old tree stump there. You're going to see the baby giraffe. He's way up there. He's a little dude. Under 2 months old. The average giraffe at birth weighs around larger than that at this point.
Oh, look at these guys.
Here, we'll go real slow next to her. She was just under 1,000 pounds and around 5 feet tall. So a very large little baby. Oh, there's another giraffe there on the right. See, there are 3 cheetahs up here on the left. Belly to belly, I think. Now, I think those are the 2 females. Them both sleeping. Lions can sleep up to 20. So, what is considered a juvenile lion? Probably only around 2 to 3 years old at the most. He's very handsome.
After that amazing safari, the next area we visited was Pandora, the world of Avatar. We were getting kind of tired by this point, so we didn't ride any rides. We just walked around and explored the place. But this was such a cool area. It felt so alien. Erik was really mesmerized by the craftsmanship in this area. We stayed here for a while, just admiring the beauty of all of it. And also resting our feet, of course, because we were only halfway through the day and we still had lots more to see. After the Animal Kingdom, we took a shuttle bus to the next park on our list, Epcot. Now, I didn't really know what to expect here. I didn't know much about Epcot, except of course for this giant golf ball thing, which is its main landmark. Apparently there's a ride inside this thing, but since I was a kid I always called it the giant golf ball. I didn't know what it was, but that's what it looked like to me. But actually Epcot was so beautiful, and we were there just in time for their annual flower festival. So there was tons of beautiful blooms on display. There were even statues of Disney characters made entirely out of flowers. I really love flowers, so I was really happy that we ended up being here during the Flower Garden Festival. That wasn't even planned, that just kind of happened. But I considered it a birthday gift from the universe. While we were here, we even got to walk by Daisy Duck. Once we studied the map of this place, we realized that there were 12 different countries surrounding this beautiful large lake in the middle of the park. This was really just 12 separate areas, themed as each individual country. But it was really cool because you could walk around the entire lake and it was like you were traveling the world. So of course that's what we did. We started out in London, England. Canada was actually first, but somehow we accidentally skipped that one. Then we walked over to Paris, France. And then after that ended up in Morocco. And then after that we traveled to Japan. Next stop was Italy. The fun part about this was that we've actually been to some of these countries, and these were actually pretty accurate to the original cities. Next was Germany, and actually in between Japan and Italy there was an American section, but I guess I didn't feel the need to get video of that. Honestly, this park was packed with crowds, so we were a little overwhelmed here. But anyway, next on the list was China, where we got some really delicious butterfly hibiscus tea. And then our final stop on this world tour was in Mexico. This was a really beautiful park, and even though we didn't ride any rides or do anything really here except for walk around, we still had a really great time just exploring and enjoying all the beautiful views. But I think because it was a Saturday by this point, the crowds were crazy, so I would recommend coming here on a weekday if you can. The next day was Erik's day. I told him that if he went with me to Disney World, I would go with him to Harry Potter World. So once we were done with Disney, we went to Universal Studios. This was another park that I had no idea what to expect, but it ended up being really fun. The first thing we saw when we walked in was a whole Wicked exhibit, so I had to go inside and see all of that stuff. And I was very excited to see all the costumes from the movie, which was so fun for me because I loved every single outfit that Glinda wore in the movie. They even had her wand and her crown. I'm a huge Ariana Grande fan, so I loved her in this movie. And of course, they had all the other characters' costumes in here as well. It was a really cool exhibit. I wasn't expecting it, but it was so awesome to see. And they had all of my favorite outfits from the movie, like this one that Glinda wore to the Ozdust Ball. Then we got to walk Hollywood Boulevard and see some cool stars on the Walk of Fame. There were so many iconic movie things here, like the Mystery Machine from Scooby-Doo, and even the DeLorean from Back to the Future, along with Doc, of course. And then it was time for the main event. We made it to Harry Potter World. And once we got into Diagon Alley, it really felt like we had stepped into another world. Every detail of this whole place was so immersive, it was so fun. Now, to be honest, I've only seen the movies, but Erik has read all the books, so he was really excited for this place. But I still wore my Hufflepuff colors to fully participate. I was really excited about the dragon here. I love dragons, so we definitely waited to watch it breathe fire before we got on the train. Then it was time to board the Hogwarts Express. This was such a cute ride. I really enjoyed it. Everything looked so lifelike. I didn't get any footage while we were inside the train, but everything leading up to it even was such a fun experience. After we got off the train, we were in an entirely different part of the park. I mean, we were in Hogsmeade. which was right next to Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry. And of course, the first thing we had to do was try some butterbeer. This was basically cream soda with butterbeer foam on top, but it was still really good. We drank those while we were waiting in line to ride the Flight of the Hippogriff roller coaster. This was a cute, small roller coaster, but it was still a lot of fun, and I definitely screamed the whole time still. Then after that we got hungry, so it was time for lunch. Erik got fish and chips, and I got chicken and ribs, which was actually really good. This restaurant was called Three Broomsticks, and it was really the only restaurant in Harry Potter World, so we didn't have any other options. After lunch, we went to ride Harry Potter and the Forbidden Journey ride, which was inside the Hogwarts school. This was another virtual simulation ride, which I got no footage of, but it was probably my favorite ride of the entire day. What we loved about all these rides was even though they had really long lines, they made just standing in line part of the experience of the ride. Every step of the way you were in a new room that was immersive and interactive. It was really cool. It made the time go by a lot quicker. Anyway, our next ride was Hagrid's motorbike adventure. And listen, I'm not a roller coaster girl, but Erik loves roller coasters, so I was trying to tough it out for him. And I looked at this ride and thought, okay, it doesn't go very high. It's probably not that bad. It doesn't flip you upside down. I think I can handle it. Little did I know, this was the fastest roller coaster I've ever ridden. It was terrifying and I screamed the whole time, but it was probably the happiest I've ever seen Erik. And honestly, looking back at it now, I would probably do it again. It was a lot of fun, and now that I know what to expect from it, I don't think I'd be that scared. At least I hope not. Before we left Harry Potter World, we tried the frozen butterbeer, and oh my god, that was the best thing I had tasted all day. Anyway, then we walked to Jurassic Park, which was so cool, it looked just like the movies. We didn't ride any rides here. I was definitely done with roller coasters after that last one. But we did end up riding the King Kong ride. That was a fun one. But honestly, during the whole waiting in line experience, they really hyped it up to be a lot scarier than the ride actually was. Finally, it was time for dinner. We got some fun mocktails, some delicious spinach and artichoke dip, and then I got some shrimp pasta, while of course Erik, as always, got a burger. I believe this restaurant was called Lombard's Seafood Grill, and it was so pretty. It was overlooking the lake and it had a beautiful aquarium inside. It was just a really nice, relaxing way to conclude our busy day at Universal. And then we got to watch the sunset on our way back to our hotel. The next day, it was sadly time to get on our flight back home. But even that was a fun experience because we noticed that from the air, we flew right over DisneyWorld, so we could see Epcot and the Animal Kingdom and Hollywood Studios and the Magic Kingdom, all from our plane window. We could also see how massive the entire Disney park was. It really was a huge piece of property, and you could tell from the plane. But I was so excited that we got to get one last glimpse of Disney as we were leaving. See, if you look closely here, you can see Cinderella's castle, as well as Main Street, Space Mountain, Tiana's Bayou, and all the major landmarks. Even the monorail tracks and the lake where we took our ferry ride. And that wraps up our Disney vacation. Hope you guys had fun watching our adventures through Florida and Disney World and Universal Studios. We sure had a blast. It was such a great first trip to Florida for me, and I actually cannot wait to go back already. We want to go back to the parks, but we also just want to go back and explore more of Florida. So hopefully we'll get a chance to do that soon. But anyway, thanks for watching, and we'll see you again on our next adventure. Te quiero mucho.